Alright, this volume of Game of Names is going to be a little more fun. We're going to jump into some of the wrestlers throughout history. And I'm going to stick with more of the classic names because the newer names all apply too. But it's more fun because they had more gimmicks back then. And we all know it's about the gimmick. And just think about it. Every time something new comes up in the world, they put it on TV. No different than the rest. Wrestling always has gimmicks in it. So we'll move on to our first guy. What you gonna do, brother? Hulk Hogan. Terry Gene Bollea. Think of the word Terry, as in territory, one who travels. Gene, one who generates. And Bollea, one who's going to bully you. Bollea, so it's plus expressed the reference upon itself, or the active here upon itself, vitally identified. Gene, to generate expressed notion, expression. And then Bollea, base ongoing, between two L's in a ring, expressing action. Born August 8, 11, kinetic or actively active, 1953, which is the bottom line expression constant to itself. Hulk Hogan. Now, if you can't see that, brother, then, hey, I can't help you. But isn't this weird and at the same time amazing that they all are literally God's word? Because they are. Now, that may turn you off from hearing that, but it's literally the universe in form playing out in front of us. All of our desires and all of our inner thoughts, inner emotions, and it has to manifest characters to go through lifetimes to play and be that character. Now, inside all of us is the ability to change and become better. So I'm going to try not to get too serious on this one because it's going to be more fun. There's Hulk Hogan, and we'll move on to the next. Another old school classic in the wrestling world is Terry Funk. And since we just did Hulk Hogan, I figured I'd stick with the name Terry because it means the territory, or plus expressed reference upon itself, vitally identified. His middle name was D-E-E, Dia, bottom line expression upon itself. And then Funk, force, form, or familiar, underlying notion, kinetic. Born on June 6, the form, force, or familiar. 30 in 3D, the constant to itself, intense because it's 30. And then 1944 is Dia, to and from oneself, with oneself. So he's Terry, traveling the world, the territory, to Dia, express on the bottom line upon itself, form, force, or familiar, underlying notion of kinetic. There we have another wrestler, Terry D. Funk. Oh yeah, dig it! Now what about the Macho Man, Randy Savage? Well, look at his name. We have Randy Mario Poffo. Reference, active, notion, to and from, vital identified. Mario as the manifested, active, reference, identified, ongoing. And then Poffo as in the placement, ongoing, form upon form, or force upon force, ongoing. And he was a wrestler, known for the big elbow drop. November 11, kinetic, or actively active. 15, actively expressed, or ongoing. And then 1952, expressing base. Randy Macho Man Savage. See how that is? Randy Mario Poffo. Being a second-generation wrestler, many people didn't know that Macho Man had a brother in wrestling, Leaping Lanny Poffo, better known as the Genius. Now his name, being L, the ling, or the active base, as it lie, active, notion upon itself, vitally identified. Mark, as in the manifested active reference kinetic of a as it lie active notion upon itself, vitally identified. And then his last name being Poffo, potential or piece, ongoing, form upon form, ongoing. So that makes his wrestling. And then with his name being Lanny, as the as it lie active notion upon itself, vitally identified, why do you think he played the Genius? Because it's the as it lie active notion upon itself, vitally identified. The Genius. So then his birthday being December 12, the as it lie, 28, blank space, or the based here. So he knows about what's based here, you know, what's happening on in this blank space. The as it lie, 12, the active base, and then blank space, the based here. And then 1954 is expressed dia. So how it works, ed. Do you see how this is accurate for everyone and everything? And it's not just something that I made up. It's something that's real in the world, and it plays out through lifetimes. That was the Genius, Leaping Lanny Poffo. Next we have Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Edward Harrison Leslie. if you wanted to work toward or express dia, plural, active reference dia, Edward, Harrison, here active reference upon itself, identified subject, ongoing notion, and then Leslie, as in lay or as it lie, expressing subject, as it lie, identifying expression. And he was born April the 4th, dia, to and from, 21, the unit or the underlying, or you could say based action because it's 21, BA, based action. And then 1957 is expressing, generated in grouped or severed in even. And Harrison, Leslie, he was the guy that would put you in a sleeper hold and cut your hair because his name was Edward Harrison Leslie, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Some of these people may have taken their names and been like, hey, this sounds like it would fit me. But this is something much more than just that. That's why it fits every person, every place, and everything. So if you see, start sharing. Woo! Now we have styling and profiling, jet flying, limousine riding, Ric Flair. Rick Morgan Flair. Born February 25th, 1949. Now, he goes by his name. It's spelled a little differently. But if you just look at what he is and how he acts, he's very self-absorbed, and it's his character. So if you Richard, or just Rick, reference identified constant to itself, then we'll say Richard, reference identified constant to itself, here as reference to and from. And now Morgan, manifest ongoing reference, generated active notion, Flair, form as it lie, identified, expressing, here, reference. He talks about himself. It's all about him, Ric Flair. And his birthday, February 2, the base, 25, vitally identified. So his base is vitally identified, 49, dia, identity. Do you see why he plays that kind of specific, self-centered, egotistical wrestling character? If you don't, try to look again, because it's right here for you. I'm speaking the word and telling you how the universe works through everything you know. And I'm even using the people in the world. If that's not enough, I don't know what's going to be enough, because we need people to see the meaning behind what I'm saying and ask me real important questions about the world we live in. Well, it's the big show. Now we got the big show. Paul Donald White II. We have Paul, which is placement of potential, A, active, U, the unit, L, as it lie. With his middle name connected to Paul is to and from dia, ongoing notion, active, as it lie, to and from, dia. So we have Paul Donald, and then we have White, plural, identified, generated, here, plus. So it's a guy in place who's to and from the ongoing notion of the place, active unit as it lie, to and from that ongoing notion, active as it lie, to and from. And then plural, identified, generated here, plus. The second, I, identified upon itself. And then his birthday being February 2, the base, 8th, here, 72 is to generate base. That's exactly who Paul Donald White II is. Big show, the big guy, big wrestler. This is pretty big stuff. Hopefully you're enjoying it, and I'm making it a little fun. I've got cosmic things going on all the time, so I'm trying to show people that this is real, and it's not just me playing around. So if I have too much fun, hopefully people don't think I'm just joking, because I'm not. We're here to save this planet, not be distracted by a bunch of entertaining brutes. Unless they're doing something right, then it's not necessarily entertaining, it's necessary. We need to spend our time doing what's necessary in the world, not just watching each other beat each other up for fun and glorifying it and celebrating it. We've got to become people who act real and become mature and actually live that way. Now, if Paul Donald White, the big show, wasn't enough to show you, let's go up one more and say Andre the Giant. Andre with the accented upward E. Okay, so we have active, notion, dia, reference, expressing with that upward slash, Renee, reference, expressed, notion, expressing. So he's reference expressing the notion expressing of an Andre, and with an E going upwards. And then Renee is to to reference express, notion express with an E going upward. Rusimov, not rise, not house. House is H, which is 8. R is 18. So it's AH, or reference, ongoing, underlying subject upon itself, identified, manifested, ongoing, form upon itself. So not only was he a huge guy, he had giantitis. See what I'm saying? On top of that, he was born May the 5th, bottom line E, 19, subjecting or actively identified, 46, dia form or dia force or familiar to himself, see? And he was literally born in Colomers. Like, I may not say it the way that they would say it with their accent, but it's like the word column, but as in a constant to itself, ongoing unit, as it lie, ongoing, manifested upon itself, identified, expressed, referenced, subject. I mean, Andre the Giant, a man with giantitis. Just see how the words are alive, my friends.
Oh, yes, my Undertaker will destroy you.
I used to love Paul Bearer. Anyway, The Undertaker. Mark William Calloway, born March 24th, 1965. Mark, M in gematria would be 13, added together making 4, so that resonates with the dark. When you leave a mark on something, and when you have the mark of the beast or the mark, it's usually something that resonates with the dark. People can work their way out of that. And the way that this person resonates is exactly what he did in the world. Mark, William, the plural identified as it lies between two L's, I am, and then, or we'll just do it in full breakdown, plural identified as it lies between two L's, as it lay, identified active manifestation, unseen concept C or constant to itself, active as it lie, now active, plural, active vital identity. So what would the pluraling of an active vital identity be? It would be taking somebody away when they die. Now his birthday being March 3, the unseen concept, which is constant to itself. 24 is an X. When someone get X'd out, or when it's based dia, you go back to the base, 2N, 4, X. And then 65 is the form expressed of a unseen concept X'd out. 65, form expressed. That's the Undertaker. See this? It's amazing. And it'll always be this way because I see the universe in form in everything. And I can explain it. And by doing that and understanding that if you start learning it at a deeper level than just what I'm saying with the words, it'll be easy to understand that you do have a purpose here and that people aren't supposed to run your lives. That's the main point you're supposed to get out of all this. God wants you to stand up for yourself because God is in you and you're letting yourself be ran by other people. And when you come together with other people on the bigger body that you happen to live on, you can make that body thrive. And when that body thrives, all things on it can. Right now, that's being held down from us by real undertakers of our rights and literally of our moral souls. Just when you thought you knew all the answers, I changed the questions. The great Rowdy Roddy Piper. Now, a lot of people that are into the occult know a lot about Roddy Piper because he's in the movie They Live, and if you haven't seen it, you should. But let's go into his name. Roderick George Toombs, or Tomes. And if you just break that down and say, reference ongoing to and from, or dia, express reference identified constant to itself kinetic, a rod, Eric, and then George to generate expressed ongoing reference, generating an expression, and George is also an earth worker or one that gets around geography, George, and then Tomes, plus ongoing upon itself, manifest, base, subject. And he traveled the world dressed in a kilt as a rowdy guy who played the bagpipe. What is a bagpipe? Rod, Eric, and Tomes, or Toombs. Think about it. Born April 17th, 1954. 4 dia, 17 on cue or actively generating, and then 54 expressing to and from or dia. So he was fisticuffs, tough, rowdy, and he played the bagpipes. Next up, we have James Bryan Hellwig, the ultimate warrior. Now, James is the junction coming into tense, J, active manifest expressed subject, then connected to base reference identified active notion, Brian, and then Hellwig, here expressed between two L's or as it lies. Plural, identified, generated. So in a ring with somebody else, the junction of active manifest expressed subject and the base reference identified active notion, Hellwig. And he was literally a guy who ran around and was like snorting and wild. He had a lot of energy. And then his birthday being June 6, which is form, force, or familiar, which he definitely was. 16 being intense 6, but P, placement or potential. 59 is literally expressing the identity. You can't really not understand how he was exactly that. The ultimate warrior. Really pumped. Really intense. James Bryan Hellwig. Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through! We had the hurricane. Gregory Shane Helms. Now think of the word Holmes, H-O-M-E-S, but we're saying Helms. When you start with Gregory to generate reference expressing generation, ongoing reference vitally identified, so an ongoing storm, associate with that. Shane, subjecting, here, active notion or nature express, here expressed as it lie, manifesting subject. When something comes through and wrecks, it's a hurricane. But that's generated reference, expressed, generated, ongoing reference, vitally identified, subject, here, active notion expressing, here expressed as it lies, manifest subject. So coming through your home with a storm, Gregory Shane Helms. And then his birthday being July, severed and even or generated and grouped, 12, as it lie or the active base of, and then 74 means generated to and from. It's something coming through. Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through. So it resonated with him. Whether he made up those catchphrases or other people wrote them for him, God is this fun at some times. Other times, it's all scary, very scary. And I don't talk about that stuff because then that manifests more in the world because, it's ugly, man. Anyway, I'm showing you the word. But this is fun stuff. See how these people are real and they're alive and they're doing exactly that? Because this is more than just the planet Earth. It's everything. And you don't go anywhere from here unless you elevate your consciousness. And that's what we're trying to do. And most people are getting stuck and caught. I understand. I've been there. But I'm not there anymore. I'm here. And I'm here to wake you up. Now, I could do wrestlers all day because there are so many of them. And there are a lot of tag teams too, but I'm only going to do one, and that's the Hardy Boys. Just check them out. They all check out this way, but this is perfect. Jeff is the high flyer. Matt is the more of the ground and pound, stay on the ground. He gets up on the ropes sometimes, but he's not the high flyer like Jeff is. Matt's more of the ground guy. We have Jeff Hardy, Jeffrey Miro Hardy, the intense or the junction, expressing, form upon form, referencing or active here, expressing, vital identified. And then Nero, the notion, arrow, or the notion expressing reference ongoing, as in the word aereo, but arrow, N is the first letter of the second half of the alphabet, it's AD. Hardy is here, active reference, dia, vital identity. He was the high flyer. August, as in the augmenting winds or the change of winds. 31, constant to itself intense, active. And then 77 means severed and even, generated and grouped. So the flipper, flopper, and all that kind of stuff. It's not to be stupid. It's literally what he's doing in his life and what he's done. He's worked his way there, but his name would have resonated with each occasion in his life as he went. And in a moment of time, of now, that all makes sense. But since most people are paying attention to what doesn't matter in the world, which is almost everything, the cosmic, quote-unquote, illusion is the business world. Nature is real. Everything else is a lie. And a lie in the most major way. You're still living in it. So you're living a lie by choice, but not always knowing. So his brother, Matt, so Jeff is the J intense. Matt is literally the manifest, as in the M, which points down. It's the end of the first half of the alphabet. And it's the word Matt, but you would say manifest, active, plus, plus, which is two any in place. Here, expressed, plural. More, manifest, ongoing upon itself, reference expressing. And then here, active reference, dia, vital identity. So he was more of the ground guy. And his is September, as in I, 9, And then 23 is in based constant to itself or plural. And then 74 is generated to and from. So he was the ground guy of the wrestling team because he was Matt Moore. He's on the Matt Moore, Hardy. And then Jeffrey is the free one, the free, in the arrow, Hardy. I mean, see how magical it really is. This isn't all just accidental. Bang, bang! Next we have Mick Foley, Michael Francis Foley. Manifest identified constant to itself, here active expressing as it lie. Francis, form force of familiar, reference active notion, constant to itself, identified subject. And then Foley, form ongoing as it lie, express vital identity. Now when you go into the name he was known for across the world, it literally is like the word make, but manifest identified with the constant to itself kinetic, follies, but Foley. He was one who did most of the stunts, so they weren't follies, they were Foleys. Like he fully put himself into everything he did to make follies with himself identified. And he treated his body like a rag, which he was very entertaining. And I have nothing against any of these guys, like I've said, make Foleys, but identified with that constant kinetic. Mick Foley. His birthday being June, form force familiar, 7, severed and even, 65, form expressing. So it's on himself. June is the 6 for the form. 7 is the severed and even to himself. And then 65 is the form expressing. So he's the guy who beat himself up and made follies because he's Mick Foley. Michael Foley. See how awesome? Now we have the man in charge himself. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. August 24th, 1945. Pinehurst. That's where he was born. So now we say, Vincent, vital identified notion, constant to itself, expressed notion plus, kinetic expressed notion upon itself, expressed dia, vital identity, manifest constant to itself, manifest active here ongoing notion. Vincent, as in vital, and Kennedy, as in kinetic, and edit, together, Eddie, and then McMahon, of men, of the men here, M-A-H-O-N, the here ongoing, in the middle of the word man, with Vincent and Kennedy along with it. And then his birthday being August 8, here, 24, based dia, or centered on, X, and then 45, dia expression, or to and from expression. So he's the guy who brought it all together. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Does it make sense why he was the big guy in charge? With a name like that? And a birthday of such exact math? I mean, this is the world where it all adds up. And this is how people learn it. And this is how people stand up for themselves. Not just for popular names, but for everyone, everything, every disease, every way that we nourish the human body, fix the planet we live on. It is all in the Word. And I can teach it. I'm showing you that it works in everything and everyone just because it's real, not because I'm clever. This is the same words for every letter. It just works out differently when you arrange it in different ways, and it lives out through lifetimes. And we've all done this. To make a point, I'm not in any way personally attacking anybody with any of the videos I shoot, ever. I am, as a whole, informing mankind and God itself about itself and how this whole thing works. I myself had even gone to wrestling school and became a pro wrestler. Then I had an injury, and then I had kids, and that never panned out, which it wasn't supposed to. It did for these guys because it resonated very strongly with their names and where they were born and all their resonations. That is how it works, and it's not belittling the things they went through in their everyday life in order to get where they are, because all those people played their part too here in the universe. What people need to understand is what God is the great provider. What the Word of God is the great revealer. And what we have here on earth is the grand developer. It's basically the devil. It's the devil up here. And that's what we're doing. We're developing the wrong things. It's not that developing something is the devil, but it means that we're evolving through our identified self. It's devil. dia, expressed, vital, identified as a lie. So it's like when a person is only self-serving, whether it's themselves or the group that they associate with, that's the devil. So right now, every group that is plotting on you is a sign of the devil. So we don't have to keep looking for these big, meaningful monsters or something like that. We can keep creating those. And those people are doing it and bringing it into manifestation. If that doesn't upset you because you're too busy door dashing and getting your money because you're following along with the rules of their game that are leading you to hell on earth, then you've really got to wake up. That's why I make these videos. Not for fun. I want you to enjoy it so that you will find meaning in sharing the truth with everyone you know, because the planet is at stake here. This isn't just some dude. I don't want anything from you. I'm trying to heal you, and I'm trying to do it the best way I possibly can with the limited resources that I have, with, it seems like, everyone against me besides a handful. I don't want to sound like that. If you only knew how honest I'm being and how much from my heart I'm trying every moment of my life to help people see what's happening here, and understood the kind of reaction and non-reaction I get to it. Knowing what I know, it's very hard to deal with. It's not fun to be enlightened. It's not great like they depict it in the stories. Not when you see what the world is, and when you know that you're supposed to help the others in it snap out of their spell. I love you guys, and that's why I do this. Until next time, peace and God bless.